We're on.
Yeah, we're on.
Live.
I don't know about live yet.
From the Andrew Moore Auditorium.
That's what you want to call this, the Andrew Moore Auditorium?
The Andrew Moore Auditorium with the shrine to the
Dolphin
you know,
shrine.
You got Dan Demand, you got Papa Don, you got the undefeated 72 Dolphins. What's better than that? And then,
Bucks.
I mean, you got all this Dolphin stuff, and then you got this guy with some Tampa Bay stuff, the Yucks, which I ain't gonna lie, man. I love the Bucks, but they're number 2 on my list, clearly, and
See, it's like that with me and the Dolphins. They're number 2 on the list.
yeah, but see, you're a little different than me. It's like you're kind
And
of
you
like
know who shares the number 2 spot with the
well,
Dolphins?
see, you're bisexual, kind of like NFL bisexual. Because see me, hey, ain't no wishy-washy about it. I'm a Miami Dolphin fan. That's my team. Now, after the Dolphins say the Dolphins didn't exist, I'd love the Bucks. I'm from the area. I grew up, with Tampa Tribune and seeing them practice at Pepin Root Stadium. So that's my second team. But you're a little wishy-washy with it. You're like, I like the Bucks.
What do you mean
but
I'm
I like the
wishy-washy?
Dolphins.
What do you
My
mean I'm
number 2
wishy-washy
team.
with it?
Actually, I'm split with my number 2 team. Who's the other team besides the Dolphins and Bucks? You like?
Take a guess. You've been doing the show now with me for a while.
It ain't Dallas. Is it Dallas? Who is it?
Where do I got family? I've mentioned this a few times.
I know you have.
He doesn't listen.
I don't.
He doesn't listen.
It's about me. I'm gonna say. I don't know, man. Don't
The
put me
Super
on
Bowl's
spot like
important to me. How about that?
that. Super Bowl's important. Oh, New York, Jersey. You hate them. Super Bowl. That's where the Super Bowl is this year. So I don't get the reference.
Denver.
Oh,
I got family north of Denver.
Yeah.
They live in just that they've been sending me Denver crap for I don't know since the '80s. So we like Denver.
All right. Well,
That's why I want Peyton Manning.
Did you like Denver when they were losing the Super Bowls with John Elway when they lost 3 Super Bowls? Were you a Denver fan then? That's what they want to know.
More or less. It's
Who
I don't really care
your boy?
for-
Who was your boy on that team? Who did you like?
John Elway.
Come on, man.
How could you not like John Elway?
John Elway, arguably one, maybe the best quarterback ever. He's got an argument, but me, when I think of those teams, I mean, Elway lost those Super Bowls, so it's hard for me. I mean, of course, you're going to think of him, but I think of guys like Steve Atwater,
Yeah.
Dennis Smith, Greg Cragen. You know what I mean? The 3 amigos, the receivers: Vance Johnson, Mark Jackson, and Ricky Nattiel, former Gator. Those are the things I think about when I think about those old Broncos teams, not just Elway. And to be honest with you, without Elway, they weren't. I mean, they had a pretty decent defense, but without Elway, they were a subpar team. Any of those AFC teams, back in the day, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bills, they were all better.
Let me ask you this.
Better than all those.
The Denver Broncos today, without Peyton Manning, are they in the Super Bowl?
No, absolutely not. Do they still have good receivers? Yeah. They'd still have good receivers. That defense, a little shaky on that defense, I think. I think the safeties are big-time question marks on the safeties. They played good against New England. They played good, but I think the safeties are a question mark. Front 4, really your best pass rusher is Sean Phillips. He's a little longer, he's older.
I think they got a better front 4 than Seattle does.
Nah. I don't know, man. I think they're about even.
You think the front 4s are even?
Yeah, speaking of the front 4 on Seattle, I think that is the difference in the game. A few years ago, we had the Giants and the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And the Patriots, what did Brady Moss had, like 20-something touchdown catches?
He had like, I think, 24 or 25, somewhere in there.
And
he had half of he had half of
Brady's record.
Yeah.
I thought he had like 20. I don't know. I forget what he had. I knew it was low 20s.
It was 24.
But needless to say,
I think it was 24.
The Giants, when they played them in the Super Bowl, instead of they were rushing with the front 4. You had Strahan and OC and them boys just getting after Brady, dropping everyone back in coverage. Well, you know what? They had a good front 4 that they could do that. I question Seattle's front 4 to be able to get heat on them without blitzing linebackers, because after.
You think Denver's offensive line is going to win that battle more than they lose it?
I think, yeah. I don't know, man, because that left tackle, Clady's not playing. Left tackle is a young guy who's done pretty good. Yeah, I mean, against the Patriots, he did well. So, I mean, you got a former Buck, your boy Michael Bennett. Really, I mean, you got Cliff Averill. The two ends are good ends in Seattle, but they're not superstars. They're not great players. In the middle, they're pretty tough as well, but I think both defensive lines are. I would lean towards Seattle having a better D line than Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is with Denver on offense, Seattle's corner Browner, he's not there. He's suspended or hurt. You know, something's going on with him. So you got Sherman, you got the two safeties in the Legion of Boom. I mean, they're sick. Chancellor and Earl Thomas. The other corner though, he's gone. Their nickel corner is starting, which means their fourth best corner is going to be covering who? Super Bowl.
I don't know, Wes Welker?
Wes Welker's he should have a huge game.
You think Wes Welker's going to have a huge game?
He should be getting open a lot, man. If they can protect Peyton and let him get that third read, Decker has a chance to have a good game too. I don't think I think that's that kid's name, the Maxwell other corner, I don't think he can handle Decker. So if they protect, that's what it comes down to. But like I said, those young tackles against Seattle's veteran pass rushers and Averill and Michael Bennett, that's the matchup right there. If they can get heat on Peyton without blitzing linebackers, because they're gonna blitz. But I tell you what, you blitz Peyton too much, what's gonna happen?
He's gonna pick you apart.
He's gonna pick you apart, man. He's the sheriff. He's a surgeon, and so I don't see. I see that being the whole matchup, and I'm leaning towards Denver. I think Denver's going to get it done. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I think Welker's going to be their running game, short passes.
I think the key for Denver is not to go into a prevent defense, because I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to be able to run up the score, and then Seattle will finally get into gear.
Well, Denver's corners aren't that great. You got Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. He's their best corner. You're going to have those guys locked on Seattle's receiving core that's caught some slack. I mean, they're getting pointed at as the weakest part of that Seattle team. But they're not. They're a bunch of number. Yeah, they're pretty. I think they're like a bunch of number twos. No number one, just a bunch of number twos. Percy Harvin, what's the deal with him? Is he playing? I think he is.
He said he's playing.
He's playing. I mean, I guess he's the best, but dude, he hasn't played all year, and he's has a migraine if the wind blows the wrong direction. So,
but let's see how that cold temperature affects Percy Harvin.
I still think Seattle's receivers are better than Denver's secondary, though. But Seattle, they're not a team that's going to come out and sling it. You know what they're going to do? It's beast mode. They're going to hand off to Marshawn Lynch. They're going to they're going to try to make a power running game.
This is a key matchup, because the key matchup is going to be Marshawn Lynch versus the run defense of Denver. And now the run defense of Denver shut down the New England Patriots last week. They didn't have a run game.
But at the same time, you got to look at the Patriots. They ran all over the Colts. They ran all over the Colts.
Yeah.
And everyone, the Colts are weak when it comes to run defense, and the Patriots knew that, so they exploited it. A la Belichick, that's what he does. He finds, your weakness on defense, he exploits it. And then on offense, he takes your strength and he tries to take it away. And that's all that happened in that game. The Colts, they're not ready for the Patriots yet. And I hate to say that because,
You want Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, I think, is the best quarterback in the NFL in a couple of years. A lot of people argue Kaepernick and Russell Wilson is better. No. Andrew Luck is the real deal, my friend. And I'll argue that with anybody. I'm not saying he's better than Aaron Rodgers or anything like that yet. But those guys, when they get older, he's going to be in his prime, and I don't see anyone, even in college now, getting drafted up unless some, superstar freak comes out in the next year.
You mean like Johnny freaking Football?
I take Andrew Luck over Johnny Football all day. However, he's exciting, man. He's
Johnny Football. Johnny freaking Football.
Johnny Football is exciting. I see Johnny Football. He's a first-round pick. He's going to be a top 10 pick. He's not going to slide in the draft. He's going to get.
You think he's going to go high? You think he's going to be good?
I think he's a highlight reel. I think he's a highlight reel waiting to happen. It just depends on where he goes.
He's not going to be like Achilles Smith?
No Achilles Smith. No Achilles. I tell you what, man, I've seen Johnny Football have a few games where Against Alabama, man, he was like on the 35-yard line, dropped back, man, about 5-yard step, off the back of his foot, just flick it in the corner of the end zone and hit a guy right on stride. And I was like, man, he can throw the football. He can throw the football. So I think he's going to be good, man. I think he's going to be good if he goes to the right spot. Houston right now, man, the city of Houston's making a big push. They want to keep him in the state of Texas. Bill O'Brien, their new head coach, Penn State, the guy from Penn State, he's offensive. He's pretty good at offensive mind. He helped the Patriots and Brady. So, say he goes there. Andre Johnson, Arian Foster, a quarterback that can run around and make some plays. They got DeAndre Hopkins as well last year in the first round of the draft. He had a good rookie year, even though the team sucked. I think I tell you what, man, that sounds exciting. And if I was in Houston, I would want him and go buy tickets. Who do they got in there right now? Matt Schwab. You know what I'm saying? You got Matt Schwab and your boy Casey Keenum, who, he didn't really show me too much. So they need a quarterback. It's in Bridgewater. I don't know. Something about Bridgewater, I just don't see him. I think he's good, and I understand why everyone's high on him, but I don't know. Just something's there that makes me think that he's not going to pan out. And I can't even put my finger on it and tell you what. It's just a weird feeling I have that he's not going to be what. So
your weird feeling is Manziel's going to pan out and Bridgewater isn't.
Yes, but Johnny Football needs to go to the right spot, though, I think. I think it's very important for him to go to the right spot. But, yeah, I think Johnny Football's the man. I think he can play. I think he can play, man.
Even though he's a little arrogant?
A little arrogant, but, you like that. He's going to have Tim Tebow type following. You know how the Gator Nation? Well, Johnny Football's going to have a following,
You think he's going to have...
He's going to have... But here, his following's going to be a little different. The Tebow following is Tebow lovers. Johnny Football's going to have is going to have haters. He's going to have a lot of haters. And you know what?
He's going to have a negative following.
Sometimes those guys... Yeah, he might. And it's going to be a lot of pressure on him to play good. But I tell you what, every time he's been faced with pressure, he's excelled. Now you're stepping your game up from college to the pros, so he's going to have to, excel in the pros. But so far, he's...
You know what we're supposed to be talking about?
The Super Bowl.
What are we talking about?
Johnny Football. Oh, the draft. I'm ready for the draft. Let's go, man.
We're talking about the draft.
We need some offensive linemen. Let's talk about the 2 new GMs.
I don't want to talk about the draft. Let's talk about the Super Bowl.
All right.
The Super Bowl's happening tomorrow.
My take is Denver's going to win. I think those nickel and Colin Kaepernick came out this week and basically saying the same thing I'm saying is that after Richard Sherman, there's a big drop off in corners and that he thinks Peyton's going to be able to eat him up on those nickel formations and stuff. I'm telling you, they got to get heat on Peyton. That's the only way they're going to win is to get heat on him. Sherman, that's what everyone's talking about. Sherman.
How many times do you think Sherman will be targeted? I don't think Peyton. I think Peyton's smart enough not to test his luck too much over on that side of the field.
I think he's smart enough, but Peyton's not scared of nobody. He's not scared of nobody.
I know.
If Sherman gets
I know, that's what I'm saying. Peyton's not going to be scared of him. But at the same time, he's going to give him a respect. He's like, hey.
Yeah, he respects him. He respects them all, man. But it's more on the receiver that's facing Sherman. He's got to get open. Peyton's going to throw it to the open guy. He don't care. He don't care. Peyton don't pay attention to the names on.
That's what I'm saying.
He don't pay attention to names. I can't throw over here because it's Sherman. No. He's going to throw to whoever's open, regardless if it's Sherman's guy or if it's Earl Thomas's guy. It doesn't matter. Earl Thomas, safety. Him matched up on the tight end, Julius Thomas. I think Earl Thomas is arguably the best safety in the NFL right now. He's right there, man. He's one of them. But Julius Thomas is a big boy, man. He's pretty tall. They get matched up downfield, man. He can run with Julius Thomas, but man, I see either Thomas or Welker having big games, or even Decker. You got.
I want to see some of the Denver wide receivers go off like Steve Smith. Just toss them to the ground.
Steve, ice up, son. Ice up, son. Yeah, Steve Smith's a Hall of Famer, man. He's a Hall of Famer, and a guy that worked at Pizza Hut, had a rough upbringing, got in a lot of trouble. Him and Ocho Cinco was down there at community college together. He got picked up by Utah, came in as a kick returner.
Now, Chatters, go through the feed, and it'll be probably I don't know, the first 20 or 30 articles in the feed, but there's going to be some videos of Steve Smith and what he did to Sherman. Was it last year?
Sherman, man, he's got Vontae Davis and him. Actually, Vontae Davis, I'm going to call my grandma. He actually he tossed.
Now, was that last year or was it this year? It might have been this year.
Last year, no, it was when they still had they still had these uniforms. They played. It was a preseason game, and Vontae Davis. It was on Hard Knocks actually when Miami was on Hard Knocks.
No. I'm talking about when Steve Smith.
Oh, that was last year. I think that was last year.
Threw Sherman to the ground. Yeah. I mean, just threw him to the ground.
Smith though, him and D'Angelo Hall's had a big skirmish at the end, in the end zone before. He's gotten a lot of fights. Steve Smith. He fought his own teammate, Ken Lucas. Ken Lucas was a pretty decent corner, I don't think he was a Pro Bowler, but he was a legitimate starter. And he was lined up against Steve Smith in practice. I guess there was a little yeah. And Steve Smith lit him up, man. I think he broke his jaw and stuff. So he's got anger issues, man. He's a tough little joker, though, man. Steve Smith.
I don't like Steve Smith.
Yeah, you ever see his calves?
Steve Smith always playing the Bucks. He's always burning us. No.
I tell you who Revis has had problems with his whole career. And this guy's not the best receiver, by no means. Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn ate him up, man, when we played the Jets. I remember the Monday night game. I was real excited. Down to the wire, man. We had Chad Henne in there, and we were running the Wildcat. We won on the last play of the game. Ronnie Brown did a Wildcat. Boom, scored a touchdown. But in that game... it's on YouTube. You can check out the highlights. Ted Ginn, man, he got behind Revis and Henne lit him up. Then this year, you seen what he did to Revis this year when the Panthers played the Bucks? You didn't see that play? Revis looked pretty lost out there because he was in the zone. And just check out that highlight. Ted Ginn versus Darrelle Revis. He's had problems with Ginn, man. Ginn scored on him a few times. Not saying that Ginn's great. Not saying that.
I think
Revis Island is bad.
Des Bryant, I think, scored on Revis a few times.
All corners get burnt.
Yeah.
All corners get burnt. Richard Sherman running his mouth. Dude, Roddy White and Julio Jones lit him up last year. Ate him up. So, everyone gets burnt. Prime time has been burnt. Every corner gets burnt, regardless of who you are. So, you can't say, oh, he's not good. He got burnt by this guy. Or, oh. So
we can get back to the Super Bowl.
It's just like every quarterback throws picks. Oh, he threw picks. He's not good. What do you want to talk about? I'm picking Denver. I'm picking Denver. I'm going to go 27-17.
27-17?
Yes.
See, I think what will end up happening is, and it's good. One of the other keys, and this will be in the second half of the game, I think, Denver's probably going to be able to run the score up. Seattle will probably be able to make adjustments, and Seattle will start to bounce back a little bit, I think, in the second half.
Denver wants to start off hot. They want to get points on the board.
Yes.
Seattle is not that type of team. Seattle's style.
Well, I mean, how many times...
Play good defense.
Here's the thing. How many times this season has it happened to Seattle? How many times has it happened this season to Seattle?
That the other team
would roll up the score.
Against the
Bucks.
They
did it, not just the Bucks. Not just the Bucks. They did it to Houston. They did it to Houston. They did it to the Bucks. I think they did it to...
they don't want to get into... Russell Wilson does not want to get into a shootout with Peyton Manning.
Right.
If Peyton Manning gets a big lead on you, believe me, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. Granted, happened this year against the Patriots. Little different, man. They still should have won that game. The Patriots
what about the Denver San Diego game?
Denver San Diego game. You mean when the Chargers beat them?
Yeah, the second time, yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't up big time on them or nothing. It wasn't like a big comeback or nothing like that.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying.
They just kept Peyton off the field.
If Peyton gets a double-digit lead on you, he's not slowing down. He wants a 20-point lead. He's going to keep slinging.
I certainly hope he gets.
He ain't going to let up. The Broncos aren't going to let up if they get a double-digit lead and start handing the ball off to Marino. They're not doing that. They're going to keep attacking, keep throwing the ball. They're going to try to run it up. That's what, think about it. They're scoring 50 in some games because of that. So definitely, Seattle wants to come out, slow the tempo of the game, run the ball, let Russell Wilson be a game manager like he has all year, not rely on him to sling it to win. Now, I was impressed, though. He did. The receiver, Doug Baldwin, stepped up last week. Everyone was talking about Richard Sherman. Baldwin stepped up last week and had some big catches. Without him, they don't go to the Super Bowl. So the weakest part of the Seattle team, which is receivers, hey man,
they can still run.
I think that's the reason why they. I think that's the reason why they won last week. Don't get me wrong, Sherman's play was remarkable and it sent them, but without them, Baldwin's game, Sherman don't even have a chance to make that play without Baldwin catching those touchdowns and some big.
All right, let's close it up with Sherman. The Sherman fiasco. It lasted how many days? Like what, 4 or 5 days, and then just
it's still going. It's still going.
You think it's still going?
I see the thing. I
don't really feel like I felt it those first few days.
I got several takes on the Sherman deal. All right. The first one is this. He says the reason he's being so disrespectful to Crabtree is something happened at a celebrity golf tournament between them two. So this has been built up. Now, I want to know what Crabtree did to deserve that. If he did something horrible, who knows, then maybe but you better have a good excuse for acting like that. He looked ignorant. I don't think you got to respect your opponent, man.
Yeah, see, here's the funniest thing. He looked ignorant, but everybody afterwards was like, he got out of Compton and South Central.
He went to Stanford. Blah, blah, blah.
He had this incredible GPA. He's smart. He's a business major. Blah blah blah.
None of that matters. Disrespect can come from any. Being disrespectful, ignorant can come from any walk of life. Any race. It has nothing to do. I mean, that makes him look even worse.
I think he truly showed ignorance, because if he is that smart, then he ignored his smarts and went with a completely emotional response in that situation.
I thought he was just disrespectful. You don't get on there saying this guy sucks and then brag about beating him, especially when you got to play Peyton Manning up next. He put a target on himself. He took a lot of the pressure off the team and put it on himself. I'll give him that. But he strikes me as the type of guy, if they get in there and say they just bomb, Peyton starts lighting a few of them up. I really could see the personal fouls and frustration. He seems to be the type of guy. I could be wrong. We don't know. I'm just saying, if it did happen, if he starts getting lit up, just showing his ass, throwing helmets and stuff, and getting personal fouled, I think he could be a sore loser. And what he said,
like a Tom Brady sore loser.
Yeah, he was like this too, man. He's like, Crabtree running his mouth all game.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
No. What I'm saying is this: why would he even say anything about Crabtree talking trash when he's the biggest trash talker out there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When he's putting a target on himself, and I think he just goes a little bit overboard. I'm starting to think he's a little attention whore too. I think that's part of it as well. But saying
he likes the attention.
He likes the attention, but he's not a thug.
There's showing his.
He's not a thug or nothing like that.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Well, if he plays well, they're gonna be all over him, man. If he plays bad though, he's gonna get blamed for that. He's gonna get blamed. They're gonna say, "Oh, Sherman said all." If Sherman would have shut his mouth, we could have won. If they lose, he's gonna hear the end of that, man. If he loses, but
maybe. I mean, Seattle, even if they lose, what if they come back next year?
Do you think Crabtree sucks?
I think Crabtree sucks?
Yeah.
No, not really.
I don't. I think he's a decent receiver.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
I don't think he's great. He's a decent receiver.
I mean,
he's a top 10 pick, man, and he's pretty fluent. He just ain't staying healthy, but I think he's a decent receiver. So the way Sherman, I didn't like it, man. I didn't like it.
But you like Sherman as a player.
He's the best corner in the NFL. Best corner in the NFL. I thought that last year. The year before, I questioned it. Even his rookie year, I was like, man, this kid is good, but I don't like what he did, man. I thought it was disrespectful, totally disrespectful, and not just that. It took away from what his team did. It was me. I'm the best. I'm this. I'm that.
Darrelle Revis was mentioning that.
You ever see that movie, The Last Dragon, with Bruce Leroy? It's like an old school '80s movie, man. It's got it's got this guy, and he calls himself Bruce Leroy. And he's training, and he wants to be a fighter, and he's got a villain in the movie, and the villain's name is Sure Enough. Sure Enough. You don't know about that? Hey, that's when Sherman did that. I was like, man, that's it. I was about to get Bruce Leroy, man, to break out the glow when I seen him doing that. But no, I didn't like it. I thought it was disrespectful, and wasn't a fan of what he did. Not at all.
Well,
and I like trash talkers, but
yeah,
even primetime, even Dion said, man, he's like, you say whatever you want on the field, you can get as dirty as you want. You know what I'm saying? He said, but what happened was he took it out.
He took it out into the national media.
There you go. Well, Steve Smith, you were just talking about him. Janoris Jenkins, I don't know if you know him. I tell you what, he's a pretty spunky guy. He has a chance of being a pretty good corner in this league. But Janoris Jenkins was saying stuff about Steve Smith. The Rams had to play the Panthers, and Steve Smith, man, he took a John Randall card and he went ahead and did his research on him and seen, he got Steve Smith's wife's name, his kid's name. And he really got underneath Steve Smith's skin. And after the game, there's an interview with Steve Smith saying, if I see him, I'm going to punch him in his mouth, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, if he gets somebody that mad, he's got the Rob and the Worm effect, get out there and get all up in your head. And when you're cornered, like we just said earlier, they get beat more than anyone. So you might as well use it if you can do it. If he can. And Steve Smith, he looks like a computer. You can push his buttons real easy and get him amped up. He likes to fight guy. He's Napoleon, So I just thought that was pretty funny. I like Janoris Jenkins, man.
Well, that's the tailgate show for this week, the Super Bowl week. And we will catch you guys next time.
Adios.